Welcome in once again. This week's edition of the Duval Dive. I am Kyle Nash, the student of the game of Jaguar Report. And hey, an honor, joy, and privilege to have you in once again to talk some Jaguar football this week. Stuff going on with OTAs, things out there. Of course, BTJ, as he has been in our off-season feature here, there. We're going to have some tough stuff talking about him. Very interesting endorsements out there. We're surrounding him. I don't know. A lot of things going on. But let me go in and bring in my personal champion, Travis Holmes. What's going on, my guy?
Man, I'm doing well. I'm still trying to get over your dad jokes from right before this thing started, man.
Hey,
But
listen, we'll get to that in a minute. But
mhm,
first, I'll relieve you in this fashion. I had the opportunity this week for Jaguar Report, bing, to
mhm,
put into print the thesis we've been working on here at the Duval Dive. Bam! Mega. Make NTN great again. The campaign here for 2024. And I hope you're looking on the YouTube channel because
oh,
bam! That's where the graphic is. I'm going to say bam one more time just so you can see it. Bam! I'm having fun with this, Travis. Anyways, I thought that would make you smile that we have that in print there. Check it out on Jaguar Report. Bing! With that as well. And of course, some of the reason why Travis may be a little bit nervous over and above my dad jokes is the fact that we're going to get into it about the schedule stuff. I mean, we don't have to. We can save that for another week. Oh, look at him.
let's go. Let's go.
See this man, this is what Travis and I do. I don't know if we should go right to the whole former flag teammate thing, or
Mm,
I don't know, but this is what happens when an O lineman and a TV get in the room, man. That's what it is. Um, but first, listen, I had to touch on something. I don't know if you saw this on Twitter,
okay.
okay, but our friend Jamal St. Cyr interviewed Andre Cisco during the week and asked him about how important music is to him and expressing himself and all that. And I mean, listen, he went into the whole Kendrick Lamar and Drake, rap battle thing, which to me, listen, that's beat poetry of two men who just don't like each other. I can't really hang up on that. Yes, I know I'm oversimplifying that, but the dude's name is Cisco, Travis. I'm waiting for the parody song regarding Andre Cisco, as done by Cisco. I know the song is old, but like, come on, who can't picture you can't throw it long? Come on, that's there on me. You
Mm.
can't throw it long. I'm selling out. Whatever. Someone's gonna like it. I don't care if you do or not.
Ah, it was so close though. It was so close. We were almost there, and then you just like forgot to put the paprika in the seasoning. Like you just missed something. It's just something missing.
I
But we close.
do I get a handicap for my hue? Does that
I think that must be it. You're right. You're right. You're right. I cannot expect for you to be the greatest person at seasoning. But hey, we live in the South, bro. A lot of my melanin lacking friends are really good at cooking on the grill. You know what I mean? Like no. So
bro? Haven't
I'm
you
here
sent
for it.
it for me yet? Listen, I'll do some ribs for you if we wanted to be that kind of party. I don't know.
Okay, there we go.
Let's not get that distracted here. I'm a fat man. We're talking ribs. How long am I going to focus? Anyways, speaking of
All right, food takes with time. I
you
see you.
know, hey, right? Listen, I don't know about his love for ketchup. That's about the only thing apart from him. But when he came out swinging with pineapple don't belong on pizza, we were going to be tight. That's all I'm saying. Shouts to
Okay.
Tom Harrison. Anyways, they need to give O lineman offensive rookie of the year love. They weren't going to, I know, because listen, CJ Stroud and all that and Puka Nakua, but come on, he should have been third in the voting. That's all I'm saying. Anyways, Travis, let's get this out of the way, man.
All right, what's up?
Can you try to tell me? No, let me go this way. Because you and I on Twitter, as we will always be way harder on Twitter than we actually are at each other.
Okay.
Like, the only thing I took exception to was you coming at me with that my bad give, trying to tell me that I actually think the schedule's only 3 games long, but that's cool. Whatever. Check it out on Twitter at the SOT at Travis T. Holmes. Anyways, but you contend that this year's schedule is more difficult than last year's.
Yeah.
Here's where I struggle. If the lead is the NFC South brought everything down, so that's why, that's probably your best argument. It's
We
not
can
a
start
great
there.
one, but
All
it's
right.
probably your best argument. But the quarterback situation for so many teams on this schedule is not a lock.
Okay. I don't even argue that point. And it's a solid starting point from both sides.
I mean,
Because
I'm not
again,
even touching on the best division in the NFL was on the Jags schedule last year. I'm
Mhm.
not even touching on the defending conference champion from the other conference being on the schedule as well.
Mhm.
And, listen, you and I were in high on the Texans. Okay.
Yeah. And high for me was 7 wins. And they
Same.
end up going and they end up getting, I believe, 9.
I thought it was 10. They got 10.
9 or 10. 9 or 10.
They got
I'm not
10.
a Texans fan, it's fine.
So
My point is, yeah, we were high on the Texans, and even being high on the Texans still had the Texans not doing what they did.
right.
But they had a weak schedule. The Jaguars had a hard schedule. Ish. It was pretty hard. I would say it was, yeah, it was up there. You know what I mean? So
Uh,
I'm not saying that. I'm simply saying that even in spite of it being a quote unquote hard schedule, this season's schedule is harder. Even that difficult schedule had cupcakes that we thought were hard at the start of the season.
even had cupcakes we thought were name one. I can't follow you on that.
We end up playing multiple backup quarterbacks. So even when we lose the games against teams that we should have at the time believe we should have beaten. And so I'm not talking about what it was before the season. I'm talking about what it was.
So
If
let's
that
walk
makes
through
sense.
that. No, I hear you. Let's walk through that. First of
Okay.
all, there's at least 2 of the teams where the backup quarterbacks playing were better than the starter as it would come to pass. Cleveland, Tennessee.
I mean, that's an argument to be made still. You can't say the Deshaun Watson was 5-1 with Cleveland. So it's not to say he was so bad.
But that was more about who they played at the time. And that team rallied hard around Joe Flacco, a guy that played good enough to steal the comeback player of the year award from a guy that defied death. So nice try with Cleveland.
No, I don't think it's a nice try with Cleveland. I think it's just the fact that we were talking about a guy who only played, the guy who defied death only played special teams, and it wasn't, you don't have much to really go on other than the fact that he lived. So he didn't win, and it was a
If
close.
that ain't enough,
That
the
ain't
NFL
enough.
media
That
is the
that
problem.
ain't enough.
You're part of the problem, and I don't
I'll
want to.
I'll be that.
I don't want to hear anything about player safety from you ever again.
You've never heard me say anything about player safety. I'm a former
I know
player. I don't care about nothing about this.
that was more about the other people that did it than you, Travis.
Nah, man,
You
I'm not
just
here
as
to.
a former college, a high-level college player can have that take. That's what
Bro,
I'm saying.
I am not here for the pretend. I'm not here for the hypocrisy. I'm here for it. We know what this is. We know this is NFL. These are gladiators who are getting into car accidents every play. And I'm not here to pretend anything otherwise. Like, I let the media feign ignorance to what exactly this is. But I know what I'm looking at, man.
Okay. Hey, listen, respect. I still don't agree with you, but respect. That all being said, so and granted, I'll say this too: the best defense for the Jags losing that game also was how decimated they were in the secondary. So I know that was a factor.
Then you have Cincinnati. You have the Cincinnati game,
I'm glad you brought up Cincinnati.
which they should have won.
It was a close game. Are you bold enough to say they should have won? I think the only reason it was close because I believe, remind me if that was Browning's first full start or his second. I don't remember.
I thought that was his first. Let's say it was. Let's say either it was or it wasn't. It was something that's similar, something close to that. But I'm talking about the pass interference at the end of the game. I'm just saying they should have won.
Right, but I'm saying the reason why I bring up his first full second or first start was that interception play involving Taj Boy and that trick play that kept the Jags in the game. Okay,
fair, but if we would have played, if they would have got more tape on him, you saw the more he played, the worse he looked. So that actually worked to their benefit, being that it was his first game.
There was a slide. So, like, if they played him in 17, that applies. If they played him, I feel like 2 weeks later, where they wouldn't have tried to call that Taj Boy play because they're in the middle of feeling more comfortable, I think that'd be a different story. That's what I think.
And I just simply think they would have had more tape on him and just been able to play him better like the teams that played him in week 17.
But with all the injuries and everything that went wrong that night for the Jags, over and above Browning having what could be the top skill group in the league, even without the quarterback, the Bengals could have won the NFC South. That's what I'm saying. No disrespect to Joe Burrow, of course.
And that's not a bad argument, but at the end of the day, we are still talking about on basic strength of schedule, the Jaguar schedule this season is harder. Just the basic the advanced data at strength of schedule
Let's
says
see.
this is
Okay.
a harder schedule. Projected wins in Vegas says this is a harder schedule.
No. Okay. Hold
We
on.
all we know we normally trust Vegas. Let's keep it
No, we
100.
don't, because they shat on the what is word on the Texans themselves. So no, we don't trust Vegas,
I
Travis.
thought Vegas had Texas at like 7 last. Am I mistaken that they didn't have them at like 7 wins last year?
I feel like you know what, that's one of those things I'd have to check. I didn't know you were going to take Vegas as the holy grail. I'm not there too.
Oh man, I'm not taking that as the holy grail. I'm saying, but there's only like 3 to 4 ways that people normally they compare a strength of schedule each season, and two of those main ways are either the straight strength of schedule, cool, Jaguar schedule's harder based on that, or projected wins. Again, Jaguar schedule's harder, and
I'm
one of these
messing
has the
with you.
Jaguars as a top 5 schedule. The other one had them as a top 8 schedule. I don't know what we're talking about.
See, here's what I don't get from you on this. You're going with numbers on this. For all your experience, having played the game, coached the game as an analyst, the whole reason why you and I
Mhm.
jive so hot on this show and come up with great takes is from your eyes, not from other people's numbers.
Yes, but I can't use my eyes on on a season I haven't seen yet. That's what we're talking about right now. We're comparing a season we just saw that we know walking into the schedule. We thought a few of these games are going to be harder, and they ended up not. They shouldn't have been as hard because they were playing against either backups or teams with their main guys injured.
And
So
they
I'm
still
having to compare. So I'm comparing that to a different schedule where I'm looking at it and saying, well, I think this is going to be hard, but I have freaking no idea if this team's going to have this person injured. I don't know that the Jets are going to be great, but what happens if the Jets are incredible? Your take on this schedule changes significantly. So all I'm saying is that the AFC South by itself is going to be harder. Projected wins are higher across this schedule simply based on probably that.
I think no. The reason why those numbers are higher is they're overcorrecting for mistakes they made last season. That's the issue. There are
Mm,
people way entirely sold on the revamp of the Texans because at the end of the day,
that's fair.
all you have is naughty boy Will Levis. I
Mm,
call it the mayonnaise messiah, but now that the tapes are out, that means something completely different.
mm,
Nonetheless, okay, that ain't something. He's getting entirely too much confidence and getting an artificial lift. You agree with that? Okay.
agreed.
The Texans, who we were both high on, are now getting the proper number from Vegas because they're catching up to us. So I don't want to hear that. The Colts, nobody knows. Nobody knows the Colts. The only other team that might be more difficult to predict based on injury potential might be the Jets, and I think that's backwards. I think the Colts are more confusing on what AR is going to do. Will it
Mm,
take only one offseason to get him to change his style of play? You want to talk about things about whether we know it or we don't? Right now, everybody's making the Colts harder than I think they will be on the schedule because they're not coming out of the gate this year, Travis, and playing them in week one like they did last year. There's
okay.
a great chance that AR will not be on the field, and thus he's facing Joe Flacco. Okay, I get it. That part's slightly
Mm, mm,
intimidating.
mm.
Maybe that's why you're making the schedule harder. If you were using the better argument, that's what you would say to me, and I would shut my silly self up. You didn't lead with that, though. You're welcome. I'm now arguing your case better than you, Travis. I'm disappointed.
Yeah, I don't know about better than me, but I appreciate all the help you want to give me to make this thing as
We
easy
are
as can be.
brothers, man. I am not above
No,
the law.
first 4 games. I mean, we're legitimately talking about coming out of the gate, man, with Miami, Cleveland, Buffalo, and Houston. What we talking about, bro? That's the first
Here's,
4 games.
here's where I will meet you on one thing. Opening with Miami is way harder than opening with a rookie quarterback out of the gate.
Cool,
You
correct.
got that one 100% correct. But you go and try to tell me the Buffalo Bills this year are a better team than the Buffalo
No,
Bills
no, 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 no.
last
It's not
year?
about better teams. Let's be clear about something. Like, you've seen me have these arguments on socials. You've seen me have this argument probably actually a few years ago. Actually, no, no.
You're supposed to
I
say
don't. I'm
when
different.
for the audience at home.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. This is I'm different than everybody else, so we're not gonna treat me like these other randoms. No,
Because you're
I'm
bold.
not. I'm not a person that says, "Hey, this team is better and this team is worse." So we're obviously going to win. We're obviously going to lose. I'm a matchup guy, and at the end of the day, this Buffalo Bills team is absolutely going to be worse and it's absolutely going to be different. However, you are still playing at Buffalo, and that makes this a little bit harder. And I'm not going to discount that at all. Like the fact that the Jaguars got a chance to play Buffalo last year in England was a godsend, and that was a close enough game in and of itself. We always play Buffalo tight; it's always a close game, and I'm not going to just say it's going to be a guaranteed win because it's Buffalo. Nah, man, that's at Buffalo after you play Miami and Cleveland, and you may really truly need a win in that game, depending on how those first 2 weeks go.
I'll give you this. Buffalo after Cleveland is not ideal. Cleveland, even if they're terrible on offense, is a bruise up game. That defense is still pretty damn tough. You're right.
Correct.
However, what is the second Thursday night game of the year?
Buffalo.
And Miami.
Oh, versus Miami.
They'll be coming off their own difficult game.
But they'll be coming off 10-day rest.
True, but let me give you this too. Here's the part I feel like you're leaving out. I'm using what I'm going to call the Boston Celtics defense. They damn near won one element of the Eastern Conference by taking Drew Holiday off Milwaukee's roster and putting it on theirs in similar fashion. You already know where I'm going because you're smart, but I'll explain it for the people at home. They've not only have they taken their center off and stolen him, they've upgraded a defensive tackle position, that very place that they affected, forcing Josh Allen into making more mistakes with what is arguably a revamped, though they'll still be trying to get chemistry, a revamped DB core and a group that's even better on the edges if everything goes according to plan.
I'm not going to argue against it because honestly, I don't even believe the argument, and I'm not going to make the argument for the sake of it. Because again, I think it'll be close, but because it's always close with Buffalo, and we're really good at beating Buffalo for whatever reason. It's like Pittsburgh. I don't know. It just works.
Voodoo, I can at least back up some points. That's all I'm saying.
No. I will argue something when I believe it, or when I even reasonably believe it. And I do believe this is going to be a hard matchup. I believe it's going to be a close game. Do I believe the Jaguars will win? I believe they should. But do I believe they will win? Oh, that ain't never easy. When you're playing against Josh Allen early in the season with a new defense that you have no idea if they're going to have a ramp up period or anything like that. And the 3 busted coverages are 21 points, and we're still having to. And we got questions, and I just think that's fair.
The first Texans game from last year at Everbank. We ain't got to bring that up, Travis. But
I'm bringing up all the games from last year. Busted coverages and miscommunication seem to be just a common thing, man.
I will say I don't mean to imply either that Buffalo still isn't tough. I'm telling you there's less bite there, regardless of the fact that they play at the former Ralph Wilson Stadium. But now you want to try to convince me that the NFC North is dangerous. I can't do it. J.J. McCarthy, for one, is not going to be the answer in Minnesota. I don't care how beefed their roster around him is. They have better protection than the Titans, but I think a similar defense applies there.
Right.
Jordan Love, everybody seems to be high on his evolution and not me. If I'm the problem there, I'll even hand that one back, especially after you and I have had conversations going back to last week about Matt LaFleur. Totally will give you that. You're asking me to believe in Caleb Williams quickly. That's less about Caleb Williams and do we believe the revamp that the Bears have done.
Right.
I think Eberflus is the problem, and bad coaching is something that gives advantage Peterson. There you go. Right? Then the Lions. Okay, the Lions are the damn Lions. You got me on that one. That's a tough. It's not the Niners, but it's close, and I'll give you that. Okay. But you got one out the gate super duper hard game versus the 3 that we realize the Jags played, and a couple that you've even admitted were handed back and still tough, i.e. Cincinnati, right?
Okay. Yeah.
So catch me up. What am I missing?
Well, to quote a very famous theologian, Kyle Nash, we might be lucky to go 3-3 in the AFC South this year. Last week, your comments.
I said that last year, by the way.
Oh, well, my point is the Jaguars in the history of the AFC South have never gone 5-1 in conference. And if we're having a conversation where they may be quote unquote lucky to go 3-3 in the AFC South because the AFC South is so all over the place and not really knowing where these teams are, then they're going to have to make up at minimum 2, if not 3 games in the out of conference schedule. As you just mentioned, that out of conference schedule is actually a little bit easier. Like it is. Like it actually it is. It may be. Maybe because we've established that we do disagree on Green Bay. Like we do disagree on what that is, because I think Green Bay is very difficult.
Let me summarize this. You're not going to sell me that the NFC North should be harder than the AFC North.
No, but I'm saying that the AFC South is going to be harder than the AFC South was plus the difference, if that makes sense. That's all we're talking about is the difference overall over the scope of the schedule.
Yeah, but I've already talked you away from that. That was the lead, right? You don't buy the Titans. You think Will Levis is going to be the TRASH, right?
And he can be trash and they still split because that's the AFC South, baby.
Well, how is that different from last year with the Titans?
Because we were 4-2. Somehow we still went 4-2. I have no idea.
I'm arguing against your own preachings. You
What do
know the answer now, and the only reason they were 4-2 is because they fell apart in week 18, right?
Yes, but that happened. I don't know. How that happened doesn't matter to me because we're comparing what did happen versus what we think might happen in 2024. I'm not trying to do that.
Yeah. And the things that are unpredictable, you kind of have to default to a 500. That's why I said what I said about the 300 or the 3-3. I went 4-2 on record last year because I was worried about injury stuff with AR because of his style of play. I didn't want to say I called him dealing with injury. I didn't think it'd be that quick. That's what I got wrong. Okay. Please see also what I did with Aaron Charles Rodgers. I said he was an injury risk in camp. I didn't think it would be snap number 4. And as late as and to go full circle, as late as that Jets game is this season, you think Aaron Charles Rodgers is going to take the field in week 15, bruh?
Yes, I think he's gonna be selling them gas station pills on the sideline, but he's gonna be there. That man's gonna put in that work. But we are really having this argument about the fact that this team is going to be playing 3 division champions and 4 other playoff teams on this schedule. Yes, some of the other teams might reasonably be considered someone who stinks, but the Jets are still a question mark. Like this is not an easy schedule by any stretch of the imagination.
No one said it was easy. It's less hard than last year. That's the premise.
Still don't disagree. Still don't agree. But I understand I understand why you think it, because they played 2 teams that went deep into the playoffs, and they played a third team, deep to the Super Bowl, and a third team that went deep into the playoffs. And I'm making the same argument that multiple of these teams can do the exact same thing, and that's kind of what.
Okay, wait. So who are the teams you have on here that can go deep in the playoffs that aren't Houston?
That aren't the Lions?
Okay, so the Lions is one, right?
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, cool. So we said that aren't Houston though. So we're saying Houston can't be part of that conversation, but why is that?
I'm giving you Houston.
Oh, so Houston, the Lions, we got the Dolphins. That's 3 teams already. I haven't talked about the Packers.
Bruh. The Lions going deep, or excuse me, the Dolphins going deep in the playoffs. Really?
What
wins championships, cornerback?
So you're saying they don't have no defense, and they don't. But that's true, and they don't.
Have is a mass exodus. They're worse than last year, homie.
I mean, you're not wrong on that, but I'm not saying it's got to be more teams. It can be the same amount of teams that we're talking about, and that's still an apples to apples comparison. So we're going to end this thing in the tie. That's what I'm hearing.
Well, but you got 3. Name me a 4th.
A 4th? I don't know that I necessarily named the 4th because I don't know if that I necessarily believe in Philadelphia, but we got the Cleveland Browns though.
You believe in them? Really?
I believe in them more than I believe in Philadelphia.
Well, now you're moving the goalposts because that's a good statement. Anyways,
hey, they're a playoff team from last year. I think it'd be reasonable to consider them a playoff team this year. Talking about over Pittsburgh.
I mean, the Cowboys were a playoff team last year. What do you want? Anyways, well, man, look, we spent 20 minutes on that ish. Let's move on.
Oh Lord, yeah, we haven't talked about training. Well, about OTAs.
Well, hey,
about stadium rights. We haven't talked about joint practices with the Bucks, bro.
First of all, okay, here, we'll get that out the way.
Ding, ding, ding.
Yeah, we'll get that out the way real quick. Still Everbank for now. Bing, they extended it. OTAs, or excuse me, Bucks practice week 2 of the preseason. So after the August 10th on Saturday preseason game, the very same mentioned Everbank Stadium, they're going to play the Bucks practice. Whoa, okay, nailed those.
Joint practices, yes, we love those.
Did I actually, joking aside, I do hope I get the opportunity to observe that. We'll see what happens. Did you write about that stuff on Big Cat Country?
Hey man, you already know. Go and check out Big Cat Country. We write about all of this stuff. Come, let's go.
Then OTAs, give us your point of view on what you saw, my man.
Oh Lord, OTAs was dope, man. It was interesting because it was raining for the second time, but they didn't take it inside. They actually wanted to see how the team reacted to the wet field conditions. And well, the big news for me was Christian Kirk. The man just looked like a man on a mission. And I think I said the same thing in my post OTA wrap up on my socials and also on the YouTube. Go and check him out. But the gist of it being is he does not look like a man that's returning from injury. He's
Mhm.
out there catching everything. I mean, got one-handed catches in the rain without a glove. What are we doing? Yeah, right. Yeah, that's C. Kurt, man. BTJ still being BTJ. He had one drop but overall, like it was a really solid day. Everyone's talking about Joshua Cephas and kind of that whole wide receiver six conversation of if it's going to be Tim Jones, Josh Cephas, or goodness gracious, Elijah Cooks. There's that big conversation that I think everybody, all the Duval devout are having currently, and hopefully it's not what 2023 was because we had this big conversation and then it just resulted in no additional playing time. But at the
Yeah.
end of the season, like it didn't even matter after the season started. So I don't know.
The only
Um,
dude that ended up actually seeing time had a rough time in the form of
yeah,
oh my gosh, I'm blanking on Jacob Harris, who
yeah,
with the practice squad to play some special
yeah.
teams, and that was a rough day for the special teams. That's the week they let the fullback score the touchdown on the return. So yeah.
Lord.
Um
Well,
speaking
Parker Washington had a good day also, but I didn't have him in my write up just because I didn't want to talk about seven wide receivers at one point. I had to cut it off. But a lot of receivers made a lot of good catches in a wet field condition, rainy day. And I'm just cautious. I'm cautious on how I feel about this receiver core because again, it's the underwear Olympics. Everyone looks good when you're catching balls with no pads on and no defense jamming you. Let's see what this thing looks like in training camp and when we actually get pads on and see what this defense and offensive line look like.
well, and I'll go to this too because this transitions nicely. You have talked about how amazed you are with the athleticism of BTJ, as
Yes.
have many, and now we can add to the list um, former Buccaneers quarterback Sean King. Bing! I wrote about this in the Jaguar report. That's why I hit the bing. But it brought me to an interesting place, Travis, because you and I, when Gabe Davis arrived,
Hmm.
were among the only people going, this is not a replacement for Calvin Ridley.
Right.
Okay. This is not what it looks like. And this was part of the reason why I wasn't completely ruling out a trade up to get an Odunze or that kind of thing.
Hmm.
But now that now that Trent Baalke has executed the acquisition of one Brian Thomas Jr.,
Hmm.
are we securing another example of a strong, bulky first round?
Possibly.
Because we should,
I would at minimum agree that I understand what he's trying to do. And now that I'm seeing Brian Thomas in person and I'm seeing him actually run the route tree and not struggle doing it. And
yeah,
again, I know it's underwear Olympics, but the ability to run routes, whether you're in pads, whether you're not in pads, is the same. Like
the fundamental is there. Yes.
bingo. That's that. If me seeing him run these intermediate and these short routes with quick feet, with outcoming, looking like he's running in beach sand, like no, that's all normal and it's crisp and he's catching balls. If you're able to do that with everything that we already knew about what he was able to do and what he was able to put on film, whew, we are that's your Calvin replacement there. And I don't think it's even just an equal replacement. That might be an upgrade.
Ooh, now you're getting controversial. I hinted at it in during part of my mega article, bing, but Jaguar report. But we've been on this show when Gabe Davis arrived, and I feel bad we didn't do a better job of predicting a wide receiver because we had set the table. We didn't eat the stupid meal. We should have known he was going wide receiver the whole time. I think the fact that the pick was initially at 17 kind of changed our minds. I
Right.
was sure it would be a second round pick. It never dawned on me that you would fleece the Vikings and, end up with BTJ. So,
But I also had a different opinion of BTJ before the draft versus after the draft. I've owned this on 1010. I've owned this on all the interviews that we've talked about on this show. I
bing.
had a different opinion beforehand than after looking at 4 hours of film, literally the night of the draft, of going to bed like 2 o'clock in the morning. So I'm like, nah, I must have missed something. I got to see this because I don't understand, and I understand. All right, cool, makes sense.
Fair enough. Now, granted, there was a moment where I said I felt like I understood with Tank Bigsby and then I was reconfirmed to be correct. I hope for the Jags' sake you don't experience.
He had another 2 drops in OTAs.
Oh,
Day 1, bro. Yeah, day 1.
Wow, that's so. There you go.
Yeah.
You know what? I'll tell you what. There's a lot of people talking about the New Orleans Saints cornerback Latimer being involved in a trade. We're going to save that for next week because we done already hit the 30-minute rock because Travis can't handle the truth. Anyways, Travis, tell the world where you.
You can find me on all the socials. Travis D. Holmes. You can find all my writings covering the Jacksonville Jaguars on bigcatcountry.com, whether it's OTAs, whether it's training camp, press conferences, breakdowns, all of it. News about the Jaguars and the Everbank stadium naming rights extension. Details about the price and everything else. Check it out on the website, man. What are you doing? Save it as your favorites. Come on, come back. Where can you be found, sir?
Like I said when T Wigs was on the show, make it a habit. Quit smoking. Read the articles instead. Boom. There you go. Of course, I'm Kyle Nash, the student of the game. You can find me on Twitter, Instagram, and Threads, the SOTG. Find me on Facebook as a student of the game. Check out my writings with the Jaguar Report, the 3-point conversion, and the Black and Gold Banneret, covering various things from college football, college basketball, the NBA, college football. I think I said that. Yeah, whatever. Just all sorts of stuff there, of course. Check out the Student of the Game podcast. Talk some NBA this past week with the Sports Junkies host Chris Bertle. Went a lot of different directions. Check that out if you haven't yet. On the same place you find this show, except that show goes live Wednesday nights, 9 p.m. Eastern. Travis Holmes, fun episode, man. We went a little long. I don't care. Whatever. We gave the people what they wanted, and that was conflict and fun. That's what you get sometimes on the show here.
I'm looking forward to talking positional battles next time.
Okay. Well, I'm going to need your insight on that because you're the man on the ground, and I'm going to look forward to getting educated. I'll be playing less the role of debater and more student, putting the student game next week. Listen to you do your thing. I'm not going to lie. I'm looking forward to that. But an honor, joy, and privilege. Thanks for jumping aboard, everybody. Until next time, everyone, class dismiss.